Well, no, you don't have nothing. You have whatever comes,
You
whatever
can have
whatever manifests.
You can have whatever comes
Yes.
that's within a certain level. But you can't have anything that requires dedication and focus and investment and time.
Maybe yes, maybe no.
Yeah, I just like to we're just playing around with the idea,
Yes.
okay, and to see what you react to about that. Okay?
Yes.
So I'll just stick within the frame that you have. Rub this sore spot. Say, even though making decisions limits your choices,
limits my choices,
and I want to be unlimited.
And I want to be unlimited.
So I'm not going to choose anything definite.
So I'm not going to choose anything definite.
I want to leave everything in the realm of possibility.
I'm going to live everything in the realm of
possibility.
possibility.
I'm just going to take what comes.
And I'm going to just take what comes.
And I sure hope something good comes.
And I sure hope something good comes.
And I accept myself.
And I accept myself.
Even though I don't want to be stuck to any one thing.
Even though I don't want to be stuck to any one thing.
Up here, say goal setting makes you stuck.
Goal setting keeps you stuck.
Well, there you go. Makes you stuck. Keeps
makes you stuck.
Making choices.
Making choices.
Limits the possibilities.
Limits possibilities.
To whatever's predetermined.
To whatever's predetermined.
And I don't want to know what's happening next.
I don't want to know what's happening next.
I'd prefer to be up in the air.
I prefer to be up in the air.
It's a lot more interesting that way.
It's a lot more interesting that way.
I don't want to know what's going to happen.
I don't want to know what's going to happen.
What's your reaction to that?
Well, who does anyway?
Well, hands up, who would like to know that they have $1 million heading into their bank account, in the next week? Some people, yeah, that's just their irrational need for security that they have.
Yes.
Okay? And at the end of the day, if he deals with all of these interchangeable bits and whatever, and he makes a real choice to be that, without having to be that, without a bit that's holding back, okay, without any part of you that's objecting to not having goals, or to not being able to manifest something in that area, then that's fine. So tell me, when I mention that, does that bring anything up for you?
I'm sorry, I spaced out with you.
Yes.
Yes.
Tap here. Say, I spaced out.
I spaced out.
I didn't want to hear any of that shit.
I didn't want to hear any of that shit. No, I did want to hear it.
And if you say anything bad again...
If you say anything bad again...
I'm not going to listen again.
I'm not going to listen again.
I'm not interested in what you have to say.
I'm not interested in what you have to say.
I'm only interested in what I feel.
I'm only interested in what I feel.
And what I feel is true.
And what I feel is true.
There is an alternative reality.
There is an alternative reality.
But it isn't as interesting.
But it isn't as interesting.
Take a deep breath. Just playing around with ideas, okay? What reaction did you have to that?
I am interested in what you have to say. Part of the difficulty in my making decisions is that there are so many possible and alternative realities.
Yes. And what if you make the wrong one?
If I make the wrong one?
What if you miss out on what could be really good because you went for something that you thought could be good?
Well, I'm in a space where everything is good.
All right. Then you don't have to do anything.
Well, you have to get up in the morning, you have to go to work, you have to make money, you have to do things,
Why?
But...
If everything's good,
well,
you can see God in your bedroom.
Right. Well, everything is good, but it's better to have a roof over your head than to be on the street homeless.
Sounds like a goal to me. Shit. Rub the sore spot. I don't need anything except this ashtray. Wouldn't it be great, We think we get to a point. Isn't it funny that, this is not you. I'm just bringing a general issue that I see often here about, we've got this level that we allow ourselves to be at because that means that we're not unspiritual like those rich, nasty people, okay? But in actual fact, if you live in this society, you have more riches than 98% of the world. Why have you decided that level is okay and that level is spiritual? Why don't you give away everything? You want to be really spiritual. When Jesus did that, the guy went, oh. And he went away. He should have done a bit of tapping, actually. What happened next? Because this is a key phrase for those of you who have this spiritual issue. What happened next? He said they crucified him. No, what happened next at that point of the story, okay? Because what happened was he said, it's easier for a rich man to go through, the camel to go through the eye of a needle, and people say, well, what he really meant was the gate, which is called the eye of the needle, but then you have to go through it and you've got to bow, and that's what he really meant. Now, what if he really meant it really is, you've got to go through the eye of a needle? It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into heaven. Oh dear. Who knows what happened next? Put your hand up if you know what happened next. What was said next? You don't read your Bible, you naughty boys and girls. What was said next? Come to the microphone, please.
If my memory doesn't fail me, it's seek ye first the kingdom of God and all these things will be added unto you.
Well, that's a very good phrase, but it isn't what come next, okay? Give her a round of applause for trying, okay? At least she had a go, the rest of you are heading for hell, all right? Now, what happened next was the disciples were listening to this, and he's just said to this guy who has, by the way, been fulfilling all the commandments, doing all the good stuff, and because he asked the question, what have I got to do to have eternal life? He says, follow the commandments. He said, I've done this since I was a youth. Good on you. He says, well, what should I really do? Well, all right, if you really want to be perfect, give up everything. Give it away and come follow me. Guy's like, okay, I don't think so. So then he says, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into heaven. And what happened next was the disciples said, they didn't say, oh my God. They may have said that. Who the hell can be saved then? They didn't say who the hell either. Just reinterpreting it for a modern audience, okay? Who can be saved? And then he said, with men, this is impossible, but with God, nothing is impossible. Isn't that interesting? I don't know many people who read beyond the bit that said, you can't get in. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Say it against you?
No. Ask someone else who listened. Who can hear my accent? I have to apologise for that, by the way. All right, go ahead.
Am I on?
She said, I have set goals, yeah?
I have set big goals for myself, and then I get really, really scared.
Yes.
Because I'm afraid of finding out if I really have it, if
Yep.
I'm good enough.
Yes.
I'm going to find out who I am.
Yes. Or you're
And
going to find out that you aren't good enough.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay, tap here. So I'm going to find myself out.
I'm going to find myself out.
I won't be good enough.
I won't be good enough,
So I better not set the goal.
so I better not set the goal.
Now what we do here is before you do any manifestation process, do the tapping on your objections, internal objections, things you associate to this, whatever they are. So the minute you brought that up, there's about 3 different things you could have started tapping on, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Even though I may not succeed, even though I don't think I'm good enough for this, whatever the things are that come up for you, you do the tapping on. Now, what I didn't tell you when you were doing your work on beliefs is you can tap on the belief statement, and just tap on the belief statement will do something for you, but ultimately you want to go to those legs, the significant emotional experiences. The question is, where did you learn that? Who taught you that? And if you can go back and do tapping on those incidents where you learned that you're not good enough, you're not worthy, rich is greedy, you don't deserve it, whatever it is, then you're going to get somewhere a lot quicker. Okay? Specific events. Go ahead.
I'm able to do a little bit in the way of goal setting, and then I'll look at it later and
Yes.
say, well, okay, but a certain amount of time has passed and I don't see anything happening.
Yes.
So did I do it wrong?
Yes.
Am I not giving it up enough?
Yes.
what am I not doing right? That's my big thing. Is what
Maybe
am I
not
not
that
doing
you're not
right?
doing right, maybe that you are not right.
That's possible.
Okay? And you can tap on that. So even though I'm not right.
Even though I'm not right.
And I need to be right before I can make things right.
And I need to be right before I can make things right.
Which means I need a cortical transplant.
Which means I need a cortical transplant. But from who?
And a completely rewired personality.
And a completely rewired personality.
Then I can be successful.
Then I can be successful. Any offers? No.
Because only
Okay.
smart people are successful, or people who are this are successful, or whatever that is for you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So when you do this and the objections come up is the time. Sit down, ready to do this, and the objections will come up. Okay? And whatever they are, you can just start tapping on the objection. That's actually a belief. Then you can ask yourself the question, or you could do this with somebody else. Where did you learn that? Okay?
Yeah.
Where did that idea come from? Where did you? Who taught you that? Okay? And then go back
I
and
have
do
some ideas, yeah.
Yeah, very good. Okay, thank you for now.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's do this. Let's get you to do this process. I want you to just, when I start doing goal setting, I know if we were doing this as an exercise and we do this in our seminars, we actually will bring up the objections and we'll have people do tapping on that. Let's just assume we've done a little bit of that because we don't have time to do that right now. But the next step is to do what I call a splurge. That's where you bypass your thinking mind and you just commit to writing non-stop for a particular period of time. Everything that comes into your mind or whatever comes out of the pen that you want to do, have, be. Now, I don't need to labour this distinction, I'm sure, that most people want to focus on what they want to do or what they want to have, but the reality is it's about who you are and what you're going to become as a result of this. So why not go straight there and start there? Because if you focus on that, then all of this will be added to you. Okay? That's the way it works. And it will come to you naturally. People will come out of the woodwork and you will be, wow, how did I get this person? You know, how did I get this connection? You know? That's where it comes from. Well, where does it come from? Who knows? Out of the ether. Let's do this. Let me get you to do a splurge. You only have a few minutes, so I'm going to give you 3 minutes. Write down everything you can think of that you would like to do, have, be. You are allowed to have things. Might want to do some things. You've got to keep yourself amused while you're here. But what do you want to be ultimately? You can do all of them. You have to start with doing. You say, I want to be smart. I want to be smart enough to have a successful business. Just write it down and commit to writing it down. By the way, writing it down is only one way to start the manifestation process. Manifestation starts when you take it from inside yourself and put it out into the world. One way is writing it, another way is speaking it, another way is painting it, another way is sculpting it, etc. It has to come out into the world. Okay, we don't have very long, so I'm going to get you to, I'll give you 30 seconds more. What you write down the next 30 seconds you can have, do or be, the rest you can't. Don't write it down, you can't have it. Can't have it. Either. and stop. Now, we want more than we can possibly have. Our wants are endless. In fact, we need to treat ourselves for this. Stephen Wright says, I think it was Mark Twain said before him, you can't have everything, where would you put it? You know? I say, well, give me a chance, you know. The reality is I don't want to be a jet pilot. I want a whole bunch of things, okay? So there is a prioritization process. See, these aren't, the stuff that just came out then is not necessarily, none of them are necessarily goals, they're just ideas. You're going to turn some of them maybe into goals, but they're not goals yet, they're just ideas, okay? The way that you take them and make them into goals is in actual fact creation of an attachment, okay? But it's a worthwhile attachment. It's a path with a heart, okay? It's something that comes from you, from within you. So, let's go very quickly to the process. By the way, who's got some scary goals in there? I'm always interested to know. Who's put down some goals that are a little bit scary? Like if you think about them, you think, whoa, I'm not sure if I could. Put your hands up high. I want to see who the courageous ones are. Okay, very good. Scary, well, scary, exciting, scary, you know. But they sort of make you think, whoa, don't know for sure if I can do this, you know. This would be great, but I'm not sure, you know. I love those sort of goals. I really love working with that sort of stuff. Because that's where you're going to really stretch yourself, okay. If you don't have that, then you might be doing SMART goals, but I'm wondering whether that's the way you want to run your life, okay. It keeps you secure, but it's, you know, it's within a certain level. It may not be where you want to go ultimately. All right. So we've got to do some sort of prioritizing. And the other thing is we've got to make them into more definite goals and commitments. So what I'd like you to do is to go through your list. I would like you to circle the top 4 of those things that you've written. These are the ones that you really think are the most important. Now, you can't circle all of them. I truly believe you can have anything you want, but not everything. And everything isn't what you really want or need. So I also want you to go through, and I also want you to decide when. Now, this is where the rubber starts to hit the road, and this is where some of you will get a little bit of a cold feeling, because when you say when, you start to make it more definite. Okay? So I want you to go through your list. I want you to decide when you're going to do that by, when you're going to have that guy by, when you want to be that by. Just put it down very quickly. The cliche, but it's true, is a goal is really a dream with a deadline. So many people, I cannot tell you the amount of people I've met in your country who tell me I'm going to go to Australia one day. One day. We have that in Australia. People are going to go around Australia in a camper van. That's what they're going to do, one day. Unfortunately, some of them leave it until too late. So if someone says that they're going to do that, I say, wow, when are you going to do that? And I know whether it's really a goal or whether it's just an idea. If you can't say when, you may be not going to. Now, there's a lot of debate about this in the goal-setting world. People, say you shouldn't set definite dates. I'm for the definite dates. Let's give you a little bit more of this process. You've gone through and you've got a list of these things. I would get you now to pick one of those, and I would have you go through stages of commitment. I want you to do this very, very quickly because we only have a couple of minutes. By my watch, actually, we have 8 minutes, not 5. Is that correct? All right. Now, this is the levels of commitment we go through. It starts from the dream and the I wish. And a lot of people call things goals that are just wishes. Okay? My mum said if wishes were horses, beggars would ride. Still true today. The next level of commitment is I want. Napoleon Hill said desire is the starting point of all achievement. Desire is actually good. Some people are upset about their desires. They think they're bad. Okay? Well, you can treat yourself for that. The next level is I plan to. And the next level is I will. Now, before you manifestors get upset with me, of course, the next level is I am. Okay? But I believe you have to go through I will to get to I am. And if you don't make that step, then you'll always have this false thing. You'll always be disconnected from that. because you really aren't that, if you like, inside yourself. It doesn't feel right there. Okay? Now, I want you to pick one goal, and I need you to do this very quickly. I need you to find a person next to you, and I want you to actually state your goal as an I wish. So if my goal was to travel all around the world and, you know, get paid millions of dollars, I would say, I wish I could travel all around and get paid millions of dollars. And then your partner will do the same thing with their goal. Then when they have done that, you will go to I want to get paid millions of dollars to travel all around the world helping people. And they'll do the same with their goal. Then you will say, I plan to get paid millions of dollars travelling all around the world helping people. And then you will say, I will do this. Now, when you do this, you're going to notice that some of those are going to cause a little more stress and tension than others. For some of you, it'll be the I plan to step. For others, it will be the I will step. And that's where you need to do your tapping. Okay? So I'm just opening this up to you, and I want you to notice the difference in feeling. Go ahead. You've got 2 minutes for this. Go in a threesome. If you're out on your own, find a threesome. Excuse me. Stop. Here. Okay. Now I realise that some of you are not finished with this. But I never promised I would take you through the entire process, just give you something to go on with. So I noticed some of you doing some tapping when those barriers came up. Good choice. Okay? I suggest you go do this as an exercise. You can sit down with yourself, you can sit down with a friend. And when the objection comes up to I plan to because I'm not a planner or I'm not an organiser or things I plan don't come to fruition or whatever it is, that's when you start tapping. And then when you can't say I will because the words get stuck in your mouth, that's when you start tapping. Who found that? Who found that sort of objection? Who found that saying I will was powerful? Yeah. Very, very different. Now the challenge is there's still the parts of you that object that need to be brought out. But there's a process of treating those parts, and then there's the manifestation side. Don't spend all of your time on one side. Don't ignore one side, but don't spend all of your time on one side. Now, where do you go from here? My suggestion is that you go away and reflect on your goals. You're a bunch of goal setters anyway. But I'm not sure how many of you have actually used EFT as part of that process. To deal with the blocks to your possibilities before you even start writing. And then do a splurge. And give yourself permission, even then, to write stuff that you know you probably won't do, or you know may not be possible. But you know, it is possible. The challenge is, which of those things are you going to give your heart to? I actually think everybody has a goal in their heart. They have a vision of what they really could be. The challenge is they don't know that they can be that. They can do that. You know, And I love the Wizard of Oz because he didn't really give them anything they didn't have, did he? It was just a signification thing. We'd love to do that for you, but you know what? You can do it for yourself. You don't need me to do that. You do, however, have to overcome this thing of like, I can't go ahead with doubt. I have to be there now in order to be there. Well, the reality is if you create a thing out here, that you're going to need to grow into that sort of person to manifest that. And along the way, you're going to meet some good people like we've met here. Thank you very much for being with me. And you're...